You know what sound that means, folks. You bet. It's time for another Elkworks Noon Whistle. I'm Chris Trottier.
And I'm John Anzalone, and we're here today with Ed Scaro, 1978 graduate of Elkhorn Area School District, Elkhorn High School, as well as Ed is a part of our All Sports Booster Club, and he is a school board member and many other things prior to this. Ed, you've been involved in the community for a long time in different capacities, and thank you for coming and being on here today with us.
Yeah, no, thanks for having me. I can remember when my two oldest were in high school, and Dean Wilson tapped my shoulder and said, you really should get involved in the Booster Club. And I said, yeah, okay, I'll come to a meeting. And then it was, don't you think you want to be the vice president? And then you can really figure out all these integral things that the club does. And I said, okay, I guess, yeah, I can do that. And so I did that for a year, and then it was, hey, that person's daughter is retiring, and so why don't you be president? And I said, okay, I'll consider that. But I asked him, I said, well, what's the hardest thing? He says, well, as long as you have the role of the concessions coordinator, volunteered for, it's a piece of cake. And I said, all right, great. So what ended up happening is our concessions coordinator decided that she didn't want to do that anymore. And so that was when we hired our first concessions coordinator as a paid employee. And so that started a legacy of a new direction for our club. But, it just taught me that, when things are going a little haywire, we can always figure out a way by working together and figuring out a plan. So it was a interesting experience. And I think I was president for, it was at least 4 or if not 5 years. And so that was okay, but it's always nice to pass on the torch. And one of the things I haven't passed on yet is I help out with their parking. I do the reserved area. So I coordinate all those people that want to reserve a spot for that whole week. And I've been helping out with the golf outing. And so it's an annual event, and I find it very fulfilling, and a lot of people have a good time, and we raise money, and that money is designated towards the annual scholarships we give out. So
Ed, am I mistaken, or did the All Sports Booster Club start off as a football club? Is that correct or no?
My understanding is it did not. Actually, okay. Frank Luptow, back the very first golf outing, when that was formulated, he was part of that original committee. And his store, which was just recently sold, has donated the lunches for that event from the first event until this year. With him selling the store, he could not donate that for us, but we'll see what IGA says for us next year. But it started out as a club. Maybe it focused on some of the more primary groups that were going on. But, back when that formed, that's just when girls athletics and other programs were coming of age and evolving. Yeah. And so, you got to think about now in today's world that we've got so many different groups and organizations that the All Sports Booster Club, that's what it's about. That's what it focuses on. It's not just the football team. It's not just the baseball team. Typically what we see is the coaches develop a wish list of items, and that gets submitted to really the people that come to the meetings. And it's not just a president's decision. It's kind of a group decision on what we vote on and why we want to fund certain things. And then I've seen the club also help out other groups that want to come and have an idea, a concept mind. And it's just an important thing for people to realize that it's all groups and organizations within the high school. It's just not limited to sporting. I mean, that's really the primary focus, but I know in certain instances we've helped other groups that needed a jump start or just maybe some guidance on how
Yep.
they can help with their funding. So
Yeah, Ed, you guys have done some unique things too, where you've had clubs, maybe it's forensics, FCCLA, HOSA, things like that, come to you, and you guys have allowed them to run the concession stand in order to make money for their club, correct?
Yep. And, we've also talked to them about, hey, during fair parking, get in the area. Maybe you want to do the middle school. But those opportunities are there. And then there's other events during the summer when the fairgrounds are doing an activity where you can make some pretty good money in just a weekend. And it's not that much work. And we just need to get the students and parents to want to participate a little bit. And I think that's what's important for our club, is that if I look at when I go to other districts and see how they're raising money, a lot of it's, everyone's writing checks versus participating. And I think by participating in person, you really kind of show the community and really your kids and their friends that you're dedicated to being involved in their activities. And, by showing your presence, it means a lot to those kids. So,
Yeah.
Just
what
right.
would you tell someone? I know Dean Wilson kind of came to you and said, hey, you should do this, and obviously saw something in you. What would you tell to people whose children are either close to coming to high school or in high school as to why they should get involved in this? Other than, you've listed a bunch of important things, but hey, why should I get involved?
I think by doing is a big thing. When you're actively participating, that demonstrates to the public and everybody that's seeing you that, you care about what's going on with this particular activity, and you want to support not only that group, but the entire club and what it supports for the entire high school and how it functions. So,
yeah, and a lot of equipment and things that sports have, they wouldn't have if it wasn't for the Booster Club, because it's just not in the budget.
Yeah, no, things are getting tight, and they always get tighter. Everything gets more expensive. And, like I say, being on the school board, I see that we have some challenges ahead of us, but the Booster Club can continue to help those important organizations get a foothold and continue on developing our athletes. And I love to see that we're not having so many kids just focused on one sport, which a lot of times happens. And I think that's a kind of a disappointment for me. My son, had a couple different sports that he focused on, and I think it just gives you a better flavor for what's out there and what you can participate in. So,
yeah, I agree.
Does the Booster Club have? I know, we'll talk about the golf outing in a second, but what are some other fundraisers recently that you're aware of, or John, even you, that the Booster Club's been trying to get some energy around?
The brick fundraiser, right, Ed?
Yeah, the brick fundraiser. Like I say, we've got a new program out there, and so that if that's something you're interested in, we've got stuff available on the website. Or if you come to a meeting, you can kind of get it firsthand. And by all means, take a tour out there around the football field. You'll see what's been done and what's planned to be done. And so, exciting opportunities for us to just, kind of make our athletic fields shine to those who want to visit our campus. And like I say, I think we've got a great program, and we're proud of our facilities, and we want to do a great job taking care of them.
When you said that Dean Wilson got you involved, my first thought was he was trying to control the president, so he could make sure that the money flowed correctly.
Yeah.
But you mentioned that you were sparring him one time, and it got a little more intense.
Yeah.
And
you
hit him. Was that the consequence of that?
Well, I can remember we were sparring, we were wrestling, and I was a sophomore. And needless to say, I wasn't that good, but apparently the weight of my elbow made contact with the lower extremity, and he wasn't happy for a couple minutes, but he got me back a couple weeks later. But that's back in the good old days.
Yeah. Hey, Ed, was the preferred parking for the fair I seem to remember either that was your idea or you and someone else had come up with that idea. Is that correct?
No, that had been going on for some amount of time,
Okay.
and we just kind of perfected it over the years and evolved to a program where, there's people I learned that if they got spot 5, don't move spot 5, because that's it's a legacy thing, and they'll end up giving it down to their kids. And I remember I moved one woman, and I moved her literally 10 feet, and she called me many, many times. And so a new spot that got her 10 foot closer was got evolved, and that's all good stuff. But
So we wanted to talk today about the Booster Club golf outing. We got scrolling on our banner that it's July 21st. The link's on there. Talk a little bit about the golf outing. How many golfers? Are there any other organizations connected to it? And then you mentioned at the beginning a little bit that the money goes to scholarships, but just talk a little bit about the golf outing here before we move on.
Sure. The golf outing, it's a joint outing between ourselves and Elkhorn Rotary. And how it works is we get the first $4,000 that comes in. Then they get the next 3, and then anything above that goes to the Booster Club. And right now I've got 21 foursomes paid and signed up, and 10 hole sponsors. And I'm hoping to get double that. Last year, that's what we had, was around 40 foursomes. There's time to sign up, but just like anything else, it's easier to plan when people sign up early. And so the day of getting a discount that was the 15th of June. But if you're interested now, just, if you don't want to send in your money, send in at least your names, and you can pay that day. That's fine. But if you're a whole sponsor, you should pay for that in advance. But so it's a great event. If you've never been to it, we have booster bags, which is our number one seller, and it'll help you lower your score to an unbelievable, I think 22 is the lowest we've seen so far. Oh. So, and it's a lot of fun. And at the end of the program, we have time for a silent auction, and we honor our most recent recipients. And we have a lot of fellowship, and I get you out of there in a quick amount of time. So,
do you guys announce the incoming or upcoming Hall of Fame members at the golf outing as well, or no?
It depends on the timing of when the committee has gotten through their selection process. So I haven't heard whether that's going to be an agenda item or not. So
okay.
Go ahead.
Have you guys noticed that a fellow Rotarian who's also a part of obviously you mentioned Rotary being part of it, Mr. John Henderson has chimed in, so we thank him for his comments. And we know that the Rotary has been actively recruiting golfers, so we look forward to seeing that foursomes coming from Rotary.
Ted Johnson has had the full court press on Rotary to get out and get people signed up. So
you should tell Ted that he should pay for a foursome because he can't be there, and send some
correct.
I agree with that. If you're listening or you watch this, get it done.
So we're about that time. So folks, anybody listening and watching, make sure that, you sign up for the All Sports Golf Outing. It's July 21st, goes to a great cause in partnership with Rotary. The website and link is scrolling at the bottom. It's about that time, John and Ed, for some shout outs and thank yous. Who wants to go first?
I'll jump in.
Yeah, go ahead.
So mine's not, it's more of, I guess, just a shout out. I want to tell people, get signed up for this. The Booster Club does great things for our schools and great things for people. It's a great partnership with Rotary. It helps us for them to provide scholarships. Get involved, get signed up, get a foursome. It's fun. Just do it. Let's fill that up and get 42.
Yep. Hey, and if you want to work the event, we'll feed you, give you some drinks throughout the entire day. So you'll get lunch, dinner on the club, and you'll have a tremendous time. So reach out to me directly, and be happy to get you a volunteer up. All right.
And I want to thank Lake Lawn Resort and Julie Horgan over at Lake Lawn. We've had a partnership with them for the last 3 months where we have been employing 5 students with disabilities so they can gain work experience. And I want to just shout out to Julie and her team for making that experience possible for our kids. And it's just been an awesome relationship. And hopefully those kids are working right now and enjoying the weather and getting some work experience in hospitality management. So, John, anything else for some parting words here?
Thank you, Ed.
Thank you, Ed.
Yeah, appreciate your time. It was good talking to you, and thanks for all you do.
Thanks for having me.
You bet. And to everybody, have a great rest of your June. We'll be you look forward to next Tuesday where we have we'll be hosting Mr. Jesse Adams from Adams Power, and we will be off July 4th. So please enjoy the 4th. But we'll see you next Thursday or next Tuesday. I'm sorry. And on that note,
thank you.
Goodbye.